Hey y'all, before we get into the episode today, just a little reminder that Grant and I have a merch store that is only going to be live until August 15th. So head over to wellilaugh.com and there's a tab for merch store, and head over there before then to grab your merch before it's gone. Okay, let's get into the episode.
You're listening to Well, I Laughed, part 1 of The Happiest Place on Earth, the Finnish line. You think we're ready to go?
Oh, well, I hit record, so.
Oh, okay, so we are ready to go. Okay, that's fine.
He's just on Instagram.
I'm just on my phone.
Oh, just
You
texting
don't need
a picture of himself to
Okay,
someone.
well, now I'm not. And that's how shame works, Maia.
If you're gonna sit there and act like you don't shame me all the time for any small thing that I do, you can go fuck right off,
That
dude.
is the key to our... Okay, well, one, that's the key to our podcast, but two, what behavior has that changed for you, Maia?
Nothing.
I was like, you still say like a bunch. Kidding. This is an awfully hostile way to start the podcast.
I don't even want to tell you my story anymore.
Yes, you do, because the theme this week, did we mention
Yes,
it
we did.
last week?
I
Okay.
did.
Is the happiest
Place
place on
on
earth. Thank you. 99% of you won't be able to pick this up because that was another visual bit on this and audio platform. But I stared at Maia and gave her a look like, you need to say this.
Stop.
You need to say this with
Start.
me. You need to.
I really should have just let you go.
I was prepared for that.
That would have been really funny.
I had
actually.
an older sister. I am used to being humiliated.
It would have been funny. Honestly, I'm a little mad at myself for being such a team player.
My favorite version of that we've ever done was the Industrial Revolution
And its consequences.
I also always do the little Target lady hand, which is like a fist up in the air, but also kind of like bent somehow.
Oh.
From SNL, you know, Kristen Wiig's famous character, Target lady.
I know Kristen Wiig and I know SNL, so I'm imagining what you're doing. I don't think I know the specific
She has
bit.
like a voice like this.
Oh. Wow.
She's like, wow.
Whoa.
Please hire me for voice work. No, I'm kidding.
You have a mic, so you could do it. That's all I'm saying. What's new, Grant?
Well, dear listeners, I talked to Tyler this morning, and let me tell you, that's actually what's old. No, it was great. We chatted about him. Then he had to go. So
And isn't that how it always goes?
he did say, so we just released the Free Britney episode, and so he did say this morning, I did notice that I wasn't mentioned.
It makes me angry.
I think it's great that we have actually ran this gag, that we gaslit him like into listening.
And now we're mad about it.
Yes. And now we're like, oh, you're listening? We're like, I guess we don't really care,
We're
do
not
we?
mentioning you anymore. So that's really unfortunate.
I think it's great that we are nice to all of our friends except one.
Yeah, and it's our mutual friend.
Correct. Oh, it's the reason we know each
Yeah.
other.
It seems fair.
He did say in the phone call, what, are you like you and Maia now better friends than like Maia and I or you and I? And,
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I told him, I was like, oh, you mean my business partner and co-host?
The one that I see every week versus the one I see once a year
Exactly.
and have to spend $1,000+ just to get there.
Right, exactly. Tyler lives in Europe. First thing he'll mention. Also, like, Maia and I are so easy to love.
Yeah.
At least that's what I keep telling myself. That of course we became best friends. Of course we did. Of course we did. I actually really do think... Go ahead, what were you going to say?
No, I wasn't going to say anything.
Oh, I was going to say...
Oh, okay.
I think it's a testament to our friendship. Hold my hand. I think it's a testament to our friendship that we have gone through this process so far. This is going to be episode, 13,
Oh my
right?
God.
Which is actually episode 15 if you count the two
We have
lost
to
forever.
re-record.
I think we are actually better friends now than we were at the start of this process.
Yeah, I honestly don't remember why I picked you at this point.
All I can think of is that song from Wicked. I have been changed for good. I will sing in every...
popular.
Even more popular. We have a lot of followers on Instagram. When I want to get all of my friends to roll their eyes, which is always, I think that's the funniest thing in the world. I go, well, I am a micro celebrity.
I am like a Z-list
Exactly.
celebrity.
If you could think of a word that's even smaller than micro, if you could then throw it to us in one of the DMs. Nano. Oh, nano celebrity. But that makes me sound almost tech related, which is also, I think, fun.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Nice.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Especially because he doesn't do any of the tech work. That is really funny.
I shoulder all of the cyberbullying that we get. So
You shoulder 98% of it.
That's true. You
I do delete
sometimes
some of
see
them.
it. There will be times where I'll like log into one of our accounts to like check messages, check comments, reply, and I'll see that you have already done it.
Yeah.
And because I am like such a middle child people pleaser, when I see you have already responded to some stuff, I was like, does Maia not think I was fast enough? It was only 3 hours. I hope she's not mad at my job performance.
It's just because editing gets lonely. And I need to remember why I'm doing this.
Oh, it's like the task that I was fully capable of doing and wouldn't take that long to do, but I have instead been putting off for 3 weeks, so I'm just going to do things adjacent to it.
Laundry.
Yes. By the time this airs, go ahead.
Dishes.
I was never going to say it because you guys make phenomenal cocktails every time I come over.
Casey and I are messy. We're not messy, but like, here's the thing about Casey and I is that we're living together, right? But we're living together for like maybe a year plus now, and so every once in a while, one of us will feel a little bit petty and be like, "Well, I'm not doing their dishes," and then just leave them.
Your fiance.
Yeah. And he'll do the same to me every once in a while. he'll be like, do you want me to wash these? Or are you going to get to them?
Oh.
I'm like, I'll get to them.
That's so passive aggressive.
Well, most of the time it's like when we've run the dishwasher and we just need to like take things out of the dishwasher. And so neither of us want to do that. And so we just put our dishes in the sink. And then Casey doesn't like when I put dishes in like the right-hand side of the sink, and I don't like when he leaves dishes on the counter, and so now it's like this weird, like
so
tense.
now all of those places have dishes because the other one refuses to touch it, and the other one put it there intentionally.
We're just like a little petty, and there is some tension sometimes, but we're working through it. We're both in therapy.
Good, I think.
And that's the reason that the other person knows what
how to piss the other one off.
Yes, because we tell each other.
I love that for you guys. It's not even the lie of like, I gotta let it soak, which everyone uses as like the peace accords.
Oh no,
you guys are like, oh, did you see that bowl of rice? Good.
I wanted you to.
I will clean it 10 minutes after you see it. I want you to know that.
I just want you to look at it and contemplate and think if you're going to do it.
So this is actually something that I always tell my students. I teach high schoolers, which is wonderful. And that means they're starting to develop like an interesting relationship with authority. And by interesting, I mean like good for the most part. They're starting to question like who, why, what, which of course is annoying as their teacher, but is
Why?
ultimately a good life skill.
Yeah.
And, like, they don't like being told what to do, even if you can convince them that what you're asking them to do
like
is
for
good
their
for them.
benefit, yeah.
So what I always do is I pull them out into the hallway and I go, hey, kiddo, can I share a story real quick with you?
Oh, you're such an asshole.
Oh, absolutely. I'm like, listen, turn the chair around, ball cap on backwards. I'm
Yeah,
like,
sitting there like a youth pastor.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, I know you don't want to learn violin, but no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. So,
You're going to be a star.
exactly. Go ahead and run from your dreams and potential. No, what am I doing right now? I fell into a bit, and I'm like, where am I? Okay, the story I was trying to say was, I'll pull him out to the hallway, and I'll be like, let me tell you the story. Whenever I go home for the holidays, like to go visit my family, I'll stay at like my family's house, and it's great to see everyone. And like by the second or third day, I'll get like a text message, or my mom will just ask me, hey, can you unpack the dishwasher? And then she'll go off and do something else.
Oh, no.
And it causes me an insane amount of rage for like 30 seconds. And then like, it's like, of course, like I made a lot of those dishes. My parents are, even now as a grown adult, like still like treating me like one of their children. Right? Like I'm being treated like a king. It was my dishes and I know where to put them away. And so the kids are always at this point looking at me like super confused because they thought I was going to talk to them about their assigned seat. And I've instead like talking about like, being a grown adult and mad about unpacking dishes. And so then I pull them back in with like this tagline. I go, so kiddo, what I then have to remind myself is that like my reaction that I'm having right now is because in a lot of my life, like no one tells me to do things, right? Like I tell myself to do things and this can work on my own schedule. And then to be back in that environment where I need to listen to someone at times can be like abrasive at first because I famously live by myself now, right? So no one tells me to do anything really. And so there's always this moment where I've been directed to do something that I can do, that I should do, that would be good for whatever space that I'm at. But for like just a very brief period of time, I'm like, how dare I be burdened with my own mess? And then I have to come back together and be like, oh yeah, this is fine. I can listen to this little bit of instruction. So do you think you can sit in that seat for me, kiddo?
You took them all the way out.
And by that point, they're like so confused. They're like, yeah, that's fine. I can do that. I did it. I wore them down. Are you every person I ever had a crush on? Because I am relentless. I keep doing the target hand ladies. Lady hands.
Target hand ladies. Have you watched What We Do in the Shadows?
I've seen bits of it.
Oh my god, you just reminded me of Nandor the Relentless.
This is how we speak in Tucson, Arizona. The most devious bastard in New York City. And of course, gay is in, gay is hot. I want gay, gay wants to do something like that. I lose it after a while, but yes.
Oh my god, yeah. Anyway.
Wait, that you brought that up just because you thought I was being ridiculous.
Nandor the Relentless.
Cool,
and you were also talking like not Nandor the Relentless. So
someone early on commented that I sound like the henchman from Beetlejuice. Remember that?
Yes.
That was a big hit to the ego. Like our first video does well, and I'm like, here it comes, fame.
They're like,
and someone's like, you look like a dick in a loving way. All right, well.
You could fit all 7 continents on that.
All 7. All 7.
I mean, they're not wrong. Australia would have to
imagine
go
if I got
weird.
that tattooed. What's so funny is that I do actually have a set of moles here on the left side of my face that I like to call the Galapagos Islands because it's just like a little chain of moles I got on my face. That's what you get for sleeping on your stomach for so long. I'm not joking. That's where a lot of your facial moles come from. Yeah.
Oh.
Listen, I have no article to back that up. I was just told at one point that and just accepted it as true. You know, like people used to do in the 90s.
Yeah, that seems fair, actually. Yeah, I mean, I do sleep on like my side and my face, and I have moles on my face, so
Nice.
you never know. I got these 2 at one point. There's like 2 on my upper lip, and my mom thought that they were just chocolate for a really long time.
That's so gross.
I was like, no, they're not coming off. They're there permanently.
I can't keep scrubbing. I am bleeding. We have one more thing I want to share, and then I guess I'll eventually ask how like you're doing.
That seems fine.
Okay.
It's, you and Tyler are the
I've
same.
spent a lot of time with him. It was actually great. He FaceTimed me, and I answered, and then just immediately turned the camera off.
That seems fair.
Like it's, you know, like
just
summer of 2020, and I'm like, mic off, camera off. Like, I'm not gonna put a shirt on.
Yeah, why would I do that?
Anyways, our one of our listeners, Patricia, Patricia N, not gonna say full last name. Patricia listened to one of our episodes and then saw this little piece in the news that she thought was great.
Love it.
And I'm back.
He almost knocked over his mic, folks.
Almost ruined everything. But when don't I? The sharks in Florida are now eating cocaine that drug runners are throwing off their boats in an attempt to not get caught. And I just think that it's so magical that Cocaine Bear continues to live on spiritually in others.
I was watching like a short CNN bit on that, and they were interviewing like a shark expert or something. And
I thought you were just going to say shark.
They're interviewing a shark. No, and this man is like, whatever you picture when you think shark expert, it was him. He was wearing a shark Hawaiian shirt, like unbuttoned a little bit. He has a bookcase right behind him.
He's
of, like,
the mayor from Jaws. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. And he's like, well, you know, hammerheads are really inquisitive, and that's when I stopped paying attention. It's like, that was enough of that.
I'm going through our emails. I think that's it for shout outs and news from our listeners. Do you remember?
I wanted to shout out our patrons.
Yes. Do you have that list going?
Yeah, I do. We would like to shout out our patrons. There's only a few of you, but you could be one, dear listener.
And we continue to inch closer and closer to solvency, and that's so great.
That's so important. Our patrons that are, our new patrons, which I've already shouted out Samantha, but she gets a shout out again. Stephen, Abby, Marin, Emily, Casey, my freaking fiance.
It's like so annoying that her fiance
so
fully
supportive.
supports and believes in her every step of the way.
Why are you paying to see more of me? We know you're not going to watch those videos.
Like, Maia has a hard time handling affection, and I have a hard time seeing it. So, I'm kidding.
I don't understand what it is to be loved unconditionally, and I am in therapy for it.
And that's why we both started this podcast.
Yeah. Anyway, also thank you to Marissa, Kaylani, Candy, Crystal, and Samantha. Again, we love you. And if you want a shout out, join our Patreon.
It's $5 a month, and you get a little message from me every time you sign up.
Yeah, and we also added a new. Tier that's just Discord access. So if you want to be a part of the community and don't want more of Grant and I, we get it.
Yeah.
There is that option.
It is more expensive. No, I'm kidding.
It's $2 cheaper. I tried to make it half as I tried to make it $2.50, and then Patreon was like, we recommend your lowest tier be $3. And I was like, I don't know what that means.
Patreon's like,
sure.
not even we're going to make money on it now.
Don't make your fault our problem.
Okay, so we got through me. We got through the business. Maia, let's just talk about you now. Maia, how are you doing?
No, I'd rather not. I'm fine. I'm about to go to Iceland.
You are.
Which is exciting. We're recording 2 episodes in a row, so if you listen to next week's episode and we sound tired, that's why. But that's also... and Grant's going on a trip next week, and then the day after...
But not Iceland.
Yeah, he's going to Texas. Why are you going to Texas?
It's a work trip.
Okay, I figured. Yeah. Okay, it's like training or something.
Yeah, I mean, I thought we were talking about Iceland because I've already talked about myself
All right.
a lot.
We're going to Iceland with Casey's
Mine is
parents.
a work trip. No, I'm kidding.
Grant's like, well, now that you bring it up, I would love to talk about it.
Please talk about the trip.
We're going to Iceland for we're leaving on Sunday next week and then getting back the following Monday. And we're going on a tour kind of around Iceland. We're doing 2 days at each different hotel kind of around Ring Road, I think. I don't really know. And then we're doing there's going to be hikes almost every day. There's options, a short hike, a medium length hike, or a long hike every day, which is going to be fun. And I hike, but I don't hike 6 miles every day for 8 days. So we'll see. And this body was built for napping. So we'll really see how the 8th day goes.
But your hiking boots, were they made for walking?
They were.
And that's just what they'll do. It's a singing podcast.
Well, I'm also worried my ankle. I feel like I've mentioned this before. My ankles are weirdly weak.
I want to point out, I don't think anyone actually has good ankles. I think all of us are walking around being like, please don't ask me to turn.
You know what? Fair enough. That's super fair. I did sprain both my ankles within a month of each other in 6th grade.
Oh my God.
So...
It's like a mafia crime spree.
Oh, but it was really stupid. The first one I did... How did I sprain the first one? Oh, I sprained the first one playing freeze tag.
It's incredible watching her dredge up the childhood trauma, watch it on her face.
Okay, so
Netflix caster.
There was a whole year in 6th grade while I was going through a growth spurt and I didn't really understand where my body was. You know how you do when you're growing.
I would love to get out of that phase for me, but that's fine.
But I was super clumsy, and so I was injuring myself a lot, and I was in the ER a lot that year. And so I don't remember how it started. I at one point slammed my finger in a car door, which is not that uncommon, but shortly after that I ran up the stairs and broke my finger, or broke my this joint and dislocated this part, and I was in a cast. And then I also got kicked in the face in a swimming pool so hard that I got a whiplash.
This is why you send your kids to public school. You toughen them up.
I was in private school, baby.
Oh.
Yeah. What do you have to say to that?
Listen, I'm actually trying to kind of couch it here because that could be a whole other episode.
Oh, yeah.
Maia knows how to work the computer. I will say that.
That's about it.
I continue to work in public school.
Continuing on my journey of
Injuries.
I got dared to do a backflip off of a high point, like the monkey bars, basically. Like I was hanging upside down, and the
Right.
dare was to just like flip around and land kind of on my feet. I landed on my back.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, but you did. Because you're not Spider-Man.
okay, my friend did it, and it was fine. And I was like, that'll be great. And I bruised 2 ribs, and then I sprained an ankle playing freeze tag, specifically toilet tag, which if you don't know, you're like, you freeze kind of crouch down like this, and then you unfreeze when someone flushes you. You have a little flush guy, I think. And
What is the word for that? I can't even think of... Like the button to make the thing flush. What is that called?
flusher. I don't know.
Does it not have... Maybe... Is it flusher?
No.
Maybe it doesn't have a
Lever.
name.
I don't know. Ooh, that's weird.
So you have a Warner trigger, and... let's name it after Maia.
No.
That's what it is. If you discover it, you get a name
I
it
didn't
after.
discover. I got injured by it.
I hope we send this to all medical professionals in the future, and you're like,
No!
here is my medical history.
Here it is. And then, like 2 weeks later, I still had the sprained ankle, and I fell down the stairs while we were practicing for the Christmas play, and I sprained my other ankle because I was like trying to protect the one that was hurt, and I sprained the other one.
Well, you really wanted to be cast in that manger, didn't you?
I did. I really did. And then I was in a wheelchair for a little bit. And then they put me on crutches because like they were both okay enough theoretically to put weight on, but they were like, they didn't want me in a wheelchair or walking, so they put me on crutches.
Sure.
And so I would have to switch feet based on which one hurt more. And of course, if you've ever been in 6th grade, you know that the boys are just going to be like, well, she's faking it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so they stole my crutches like every recess to try and get me to walk by myself to prove that I was faking it.
The kids are okay. They're gonna be all right. That's really funny. I mean, obviously tragic and sad too, but
It's funny now. It was
that's
really
what this
traumatic.
entire podcast is actually about. It's funny now with Grant and Maia.
Wait, that's so funny.
Let's rename it right now before we sell these shirts.
It's funny now.
Also, you said crutches, and one of the real joys of being a high school teacher is I then get like bombarded with little cultural tokens that I would otherwise never interact with. And so there was this Disney show on, I think like in 2009, 10, 11, something like that. And the audio is now popular on TikTok amongst some of my students. And it goes, the doctor says I may never walk again, not even on crutches. I don't. That's not a Grant original. That comes from like a Disney show. But for an entire month, that just lived in my head, rent free.
Not even on crutches.
Like to the point where I would have to be alone, but I would just need to physically say it out loud. I would just need to go crutches, like in my car, like an absolute, like I'm losing it.
Lunatic.
And it's because I was losing it. This is the end of the school year. Okay.
That was before the Downton Abbey reset.
Why do you think all of the conferences happen in the fall?
Because the teachers are not well.
By the spring, exactly.
Okay.
Sometimes literally.
On that note,
Right.
welcome to the happiest place in the world.
Which is not the couch
On- not-
here. Which is so full of dog fur, I had to wash my face.
Bowser's been laying on it, which he usually doesn't do, but he does shed a lot. And so, like, if I clean the couch and he lays on it, you will see, like, a perfect little outline of where he was laying. Anyway.
I'm so happy for you
Thank
and
you.
the love you have curated in your life.
And I'm so happy that you tolerate it.
Well, I don't know how to record, so I don't know what other options I have. No, I do. And I do love Mo and Bowser. It just always has to be after we're done recording.
He has grown. He actually acknowledges them when he walks in the door now, which is great. I used to have to tell him because if you don't acknowledge Mo, she gets angry.
Yes, it's like a lot more distracting.
You have to acknowledge her a little bit, and then you can ignore her. Anyway.
Oh yeah, you're gonna like teach me something today. You have a story.
Yeah. Let's get into it, especially because we're recording 2 today.
It's now been like 30 minutes, and so you're about to tell me about the happiest
This place
place on
on
earth.
earth.
I am really excited about
Cut
this,
to
though.
our intro. Okay. Yeah, I don't even know where her intro goes. Every time I hear it, I'm like, oh, that's what that
And you're
sounds
the one
like.
that does all the editing, so I'm especially like, oh, okay.
That's what I composed it, so I really don't know how I came up with it. Okay, so we're going to talk about the happiest country. Grant called me in a panic earlier and was like, because we're recording for the first time in a while, both on the same night, and he was
Right.
like, I'm worried that we're going to do the same story.
Correct.
And so he had this whole plan where we were both going to text our theme or our like stories to Lydia, and she was going to tell us if we were doing the same thing.
Friend of the pod.
And I just went, is yours about a country? And he went, oh.
Okay.
Okay.
I think I'm all right then. The thing is, like, I do legitimately love, like, this is obviously a comedy podcast. I do learn something every time we sit down and record, especially when you are the storyteller. And so I don't want to know anything beforehand. And you do such a better job at keeping it a secret than I
Grant
do.
tells me every time he's
I
drunk.
think I have managed to pull
You
this one
haven't-
off
yeah,
as a
you
secret.
haven't told me.
And I even wrote the script at the start to like try to keep it a secret for a second, get you to guess.
Ooh.
I know. I'm just doing what Maia was doing 3 episodes ago. But
He's caught on.
exactly.
Okay, so we're in the continuation war.
Okay.
Do you know what that is?
Is this an actual land conflict?
It's an actual war. Yeah, a
The
land conflict.
continuation war.
It's. I don't even want to tell you that if you're gonna guess.
No, I mean, no, not yet. I don't know anything
Immediately
yet.
followed the Winter War.
Okay, hold on. Oh, is this? Oh, I think I know. Do you want me to try to guess right
Yeah.
now? Okay, so I think we are going to be dropping ourselves off in Finland.
Yeah.
Hey!
Hey!
Well, listen, not to put in a free plug for the University of Nebraska Lincoln campus, but
Or just a
I learned a
history
thing or
major,
two.
which I don't have.
Okay, so we're in Finland.
So we're in the continuation war, aka the Second Soviet-Finnish War, which went from 1941 to 1944, and it's considered part of World War II. In this war, Finland and Nazi Germany were fighting against the Soviet Union, which is a very strange sentence to say. This war started when the Soviets conducted an air raid on Finland, and shortly after Germany began their invasion of the USSR, and so Finland decided to invade. This was 15 months after the conclusion of the Winter War, which was also between the Soviets and the USSR, and the most common reason, or the most commonly thought of reason for this second war was to regain territory lost during the Winter War.
Yeah, I would say like fantastic job there. The Soviets paid dearly for their first war. I mean, they won it, but at a much higher cost than they thought, and I think got less than they had originally sought out. And so by attacking them again, they could then kind of get a chance to do it over and get even more. And the Finns, who, I mean, are stained from their alliance with the Nazis, it was at least in part, I think, like a marriage of convenience, but also like it was the Nazis. So not really getting a pass there, Finland.
No. Anyway, so we're March 15th, 1944, in the Soviet Union in the continuation war. Aimo Alan Koivunen, he's a 27-year-old and a Finnish soldier in the ongoing war. He and several other Finnish soldiers were going to go leave on ski patrol, which is a weird thing to think about being a part of a war, but we're in like Russia, so that makes sense.
Finland, specifically.
I think this one it was in the Soviet
Okay.
Union, or near, I don't know. So 3 days into this ski patrol mission, the group was attacked by Soviet forces. They escaped, and I think they kind of scattered, from my understanding, and they all were like skiing to safety. I don't think she's in the mirror. She keeps stopping.
We're laughing at Monet coming down, not Nazis escaping.
No. So Monet has been coming down the stairs, and she'll stop like a third of the way down the stairs and just look out over her dominion. And I keep wanting to catch it on camera because we also have been recording them and putting on YouTube.
Right.
And so I can like note it, but she always stops right out of range, like right before she gets into the mirror, and it drives me nuts.
My favorite part is Monet is never here for like the catch-up that we do.
No.
And then like 2-3 minutes into the actual story,
She's
Monet is
like,
like,
"Hey."
well, now the part that I like to listen to. So Monet and my mother, very similar. Okay, hold on.
Okay.
You were talking about the happiest place on earth, which was apparently the Eastern Front in
we're
World War
getting
II.
there. We're
Okay.
getting there. This was just
Deeply ironic. I'm
Yeah.
really excited to see where it goes.
So Aimo was escaping the Soviets. He was tired of skiing for such long distances, and he was also conveniently carrying the army's supply of Pervitin. And soldiers would take Pervitin to stay awake and alert while on duty, kind of like heavy-duty coffee.
So it's a drug. Okay.
Yes. So Imo consumed the entire supply so he could continue onward and escape the Soviets. And guess what? It worked!
And he never went to sleep again.
So he's wide awake.
Oh my God.
He's escaping the Soviets, starts to get a little delusional. Bam, movie cut to him waking up the next morning.
But is it the next morning or is it like 1989?
Not clear.
Okay.
I think it's close enough to when he blacks out.
The history of drug use in militaries is really interesting. Not necessarily like the current military, but armies have been drugging their soldiers to keep them awake or make them less afraid.
Crazy.
Like since at least Alexander the Great's time.
Yeah,
so, actually,
exactly. He wakes
good
up
for the Finns.
Good for the Finns. He wakes up the following morning, separated from his patrol with no supplies. And you've already kind of hinted at it.
No more drugs either.
You've already kind of hinted at it. What do you think happened?
So he wakes up alone. Listen, if I am basing this even a little bit off of my own experience, it's always like, okay, where did this stamp on my hand come from? And where's my shirt? I'm kidding.
The stamp on the hands, though, is so real. That's so funny.
Why do I have cash in my pocket? I never have cash. Did I earn cash? Or even worse, did I take cash out of an ATM? And if so, what was the transaction fee?
My favorite thing is when I get really drunk, I really just want to help people out when it's a busy bar, and I'll like get them in on my order and then just have them Venmo me, and I tend to exaggerate what the cost of the drink is.
Maia's like, see, what I like to do is run a scam when I go to the bar. I like to drink for free off the generosity of my friends.
I've done it a couple times, and Casey won't let me do it anymore.
Okay, so is that what happens? He wakes up with a stamp on his hand and cash in his pocket?
So it turns out Pervitin, as we've kind of hinted at, is more commonly known as methamphetamine.
Hey! Oh, I was hitting that. I thought you were going a different direction.
No, methamphetamine. And it turns out Aimo is the first ever documented case of a soldier overdosing during combat.
What?
Yeah.
What?
In the days following, he escaped the Soviets again, was injured by a landmine, and stayed in a ditch for a week waiting for help.
How? Is he still on meth during all of that?
Probably.
And when do they document him? And I have so many questions. It's all kind of hitting me at once. First, I was shocked. I'm like, oh, we're just not documenting overdoses then.
Probably.
They have other things to document, and drug overdose, not one of them. An overdose, but doesn't die. So it's not a death by overdose.
Yeah.
So then what's
Just
their
an
definition of
overdose.
overdose?
Well, so
what's an appropriate dose of meth?
I don't know. Okay. So after skiing more than 400 kilometers, aka 250 miles for us dumb people in the United States.
So what? That's like 12 5Ks? Kidding.
You're a dumbass.
I know I am. I didn't have enough time to actually do the math. That was like the joke has to happen now.
5Ks? That is in kilometers.
Like a little 5K.
400 kilometers is what I said.
Okay, so what? That's like 80?
Anyway. After skiing more than 250 miles, he was found and admitted to a hospital. And in running their normal diagnostic tests on him, his heart rate was 200 beats per minute, and he weighed 43 kilos or 94 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah.
And they were like, definitely not the landmine he hit. Or the many escapes from the Soviets.
What did you have in your system?
Exactly.
Methamphetamines.
Okay.
So during the week that he was gone, he subsisted only on pine buds and a single Siberian jay, which he caught and ate raw.
It's so hard for me to get traction in the story because every next little stanza you say is nuts.
It's just crazy.
It's crazy.
He survived, and he ended up dying at the age of 71. So
okay, thrilled to hear that.
Yeah.
That has like a little bit of happy ending to it. Mm-hmm. Sounds like he had the kind of weekend in the woods that some of our friends dream of.
True.
I scavenged off the land a little bit more than I wanted to. And
I lost some weight.
Exactly. Also got like so much skiing in. I love living in Colorado.
That was so accurate. I just got some really good days.
Honestly, you should have seen the bowl I ripped. Like, it was black, and then it head straight into a double diamond kind of situation.
One time I accidentally did one of those. I did a bowl. There's a bowl up at Winter Park.
We're talking about skiing right now, by the way. I want to make sure that's super clear.
Yeah, we're talking about skiing down a bowl in Winter Park, and it's blue down to the bottom, and then it splits off into a bunch of different paths, and there's blues, but there's also blacks and double blacks. And one time I was just following my cousin because he knew where to go, and we'd already gone down one, and it was a blue, and then he was like, I think this might be a black. And I fell.
It was just like fully straight down.
No, it was just moguls in between trees, and I fell like every 2 feet.
Yeah, of course.
I was getting pissed.
I went on a ski trip up in Canada once with a handful of friends, and on day one they were like, oh my gosh, like, look at this like cave that you find at like the very top. It's like so cool, and the pictures are so cool. I was like, oh my god, like, I'd love to go. Like, how do you get there? Like, we have another skiing day tomorrow, and they explained what you'd have to ski to get there, and I was like, well, those pictures are so good. I kind of feel like I'm there still.
I don't think I actually have to go.
Exactly.
I'm living vicariously through you.
Correct. This is also knowing what is and is not for me, the gift of aging.
We love that.
Maybe the title of the next book. It's funny now. The Gift of Aging. What is and isn't for me by Grant
by
Thomas
Michael
and
Scott.
Maia. Exactly.
Over 1 million sold. More than the Bible. Not surprised.
Okay, so that was a great story, Maia. Good job. I think that was a great episode so far. Okay,
bye.
So,
Just kidding.
Okay, so he lives into his 70s.
That's the end of that story. We're just transitioning now.
Okay.
So what I'm covering actually is Finland.
Oh, honestly, what a great story to get us started. Because I feel like Finland gets so much good press, and you've kind of put us off on like our back foot a little bit. This is great.
Oh, we'll get there.
Finland, what's her deal?
Finland has been declared the world's happiest country for 6 years in a row now, as of 2023.
Okay.
By the new U.S. News and World Report, based on evaluations done by the Gallup World Poll. And you might be asking yourself, well, what are these statistics really based off of?
Right.
And I have an answer for you. Healthy life expectancy, GDP per capita, social support, low corruption, generosity in a community.
Okay, I feel like 2 of those are things you can measure scientifically. The rest is like, tell us if we did a good job. Frowny face, neutral face, smiley face.
Like the things out of a bathroom?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
At every airport. And I was like, I'm not touching that.
Exactly. So,
I don't need another disease. Are you kidding? This international airport, I'm not touching this communal stone. Get out of here.
Exactly.
It's dirty and you should know that.
Sad face, sad face,
Exactly.
sad face. So all of the Nordic countries score well on these scales, specifically the happiness scale. And it's based off of like questions that they ask the people, like, do you feel well supported? Do you have a good community surrounding you? How's your what's the mental health like? So what can we learn from Finland? Because obviously we can't all move there.
I mean, one, not which side to pick in World War II.
End of episode. Good night, guys.
I have yet to make a Titanic reference. I was going to have to bring up history somehow.
That's fair. That was good. That was good. So
yeah, what can we learn from the Scandinavian countries?
Okay, yeah. So Helliwell, a professor emeritus at the Vancouver School of Economics in British Columbia, says, quote, are they doing things that we wish we'd seen before and we can start doing, or is it something unique about their climate and history that make them different? And fortunately, at least from my perspective, the answer is the former. And the objective of every institution should be to contribute what it can to human well-being.
Rock on.
I was gonna do some more, I was going to figure out what Finland was ranking in like some of the other things like education, and I'm looking now and I got 2 things in. So they also ranked number 2 in education in 2023, right behind Germany, and 5th in freedom of the press, which was right behind all the other Nordic countries and Ireland. So they're ranking high in other shit.
Are they ranking this out of Stockholm? Like they're like, we're the best.
No, it's like out of I think it's like out of 150.
One of the classes that I teach at school, one of like the main like evaluation tools is like a student survey that the kids use, and it's all like students I've taught 3 or 4 years, and it's basically like, Mr. Thomas, is he a cool guy? And I like ace it every time, and that kind of feels a little bit about like what has put Finland at the top of all of this.
But also, I used to absolutely shit on some of my professors at Mines because they were horrible teachers and they were on tenure. So Yeah.
I thought you were going to say, and they were Finnish. It's like, can Finland spare people? It's a pretty small country.
Listen. Okay.
Have you seen the show Veep?
I've seen bits of it. I haven't
Do you not
seen
know
all
who
of it.
Minna is from Veep? Okay, well, that's a whole other thing that you need to experience.
Okay, I'll watch Veep. I'll put it on the list. I love, what's the name of the main actress?
Julie Louis-Dreyfus.
Yes, amazing.
One of my favorite things is for a good portion of my life, I didn't know a single actress's name. And then one day I woke up and I just knew who Katherine Heigl was.
Same.
Yeah, and it's
I
like,
feel that.
oh, so you just wake up with the knowledge one day.
It was very strange.
I mean, for both of us, this might be true. I just figured it was queer. Like one day the download finally finished, and I was like, "Yo, absolutely!"
Yeah.
Oh, 5-time daytime Emmy Award winner Julie Louis-Dreyfus, absolutely. Maybe it's not daytime, but yeah,
Oh, she was
leading
on
role in a
Seinfeld for a while,
comedy
yeah.
and/or musical. Insane that they put this
Was she in a
together.
musical?
No, that's just the category.
Oh,
Comedy and
well, because her daughter
musical.
was in Dear Evan Hansen. Laura Dreyfus was the main love interest in it. Yeah, and also she was in not Veep, but crap. What? It has Ben Platt in it too, and it was on Netflix, and it's like
what was it? The Politician.
Yes, The Politician.
100%, yep. An absolutely insane Ryan Murphy creation that I could not get enough of.
it was so good. It was so good.
Progress is just trashy, awful shows that feature queer characters. Not
Yeah,
everything...
and have a little bit of a political undertone.
Yeah, not everything queer needs to be groundbreaking. Okay,
No.
not everything needs to be the normal heart. Sometimes we also can produce average trash shows. And I love that world.
That world, world of The Politician, now that I'm thinking about it, has a lot of like similar tones of like Wes Anderson films, you know, with like the
Yes.
symmetry and like
Yes.
the very fast, flowery
Correct.
language.
And how like bright everything is
Yes.
a little bit.
I need to
There's a
watch it
quote.
again.
I don't know if we're allowed to say this on the podcast or not. But this is like one of the first 2 episodes of the very first season. The villain goes, "But that's what gays do.
Oh my god.
Munch butts and celebrate Halloween." For like the next year, that was every conversation I had, someone brought it up. And the tough thing is I love Halloween.
And I think our followers have voted that you need to be a Pokemon trainer for Halloween.
That's totally fine,
Okay,
actually.
cool.
I have the entire outfit ready to go. And I've regularly gone to Halloween parties and been like, I put on too many layers. It's still pretty warm right now.
It's true. I am firmly of the belief I would rather be cold than hot. That's just me generally.
I
And
think that's
so-
also the opinion of the Finns.
Anyway. Advice from the Finns, the happiest country in the world.
Okay, bold of us to listen to the Europeans, but I'm here for it.
Yeah. The first one, this comes from a like psychologist and sociologist that's Finnish, and this was on like CNBC, I think is where I got this from. The first piece of advice is don't compare yourself to your neighbor. There is a very fancy phrase that I'm not even going to try to pronounce, but it's a quote from a very famous poet, and it means don't compare or brag about your happiness. And he says, focus on what makes you happy and less on looking successful.
So don't talk about how happy you are.
Well, like, don't brag about it. Like, you can be like, I'm really happy, but don't be like, I'm happy. How are you?
Have you ever heard someone brag about their happiness? Other than me on this podcast pretty regularly.
I've heard a lot of straight white men brag about how happy they
These
are.
are
Yes.
pretty good right now, yeah.
Yeah. So I totally understand how you're feeling. I'm doing great. Does that sound like someone you know?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it really does.
Interesting. Advice number 2. Don't overlook the benefits of nature. 87% of Finns feel nature is important to them because it provides peace of mind, energy, and relaxation. And Finland actually gets 4 weeks of summer holiday, and most of them spend it in...
They get 4 weeks just in the summer for holiday.
Sounds like it.
Good for them.
I know, right? Don't break the community circle of trust. So in 2022, there was a lost wallet experiment where 192 wallets were dropped in 16 separate cities around the world. And in Helsinki, which is the capital of Finland, 11 out of 12 wallets were returned to the owner, which is one of the highest stats.
Really? That is actually kind of really cool. And
Right?
it kind of makes me feel both good about the state of the world and sad about the
about
part of the
where-
world that we live in.
Where we live.
I would return it, I
Yeah.
think, and I don't even think I would check if there was cash.
I don't think I would either.
Yeah.
But there was also a note after this. I didn't write it down, but they were like, if you ever leave your like laptop somewhere, most people wouldn't be concerned. They just know they'll get it back.
Oh, nice.
Which is not something I feel. I always ask someone to watch my laptop when I leave to go to the bathroom at a coffee shop. So
You, me, and the rest of America have a trust issue.
Yeah.
No, what was I going to say? One time I was at the beach with some friends out in California, and as we were swimming, we found an iPhone in the ocean, but still in the plastic bag. So like someone had like brought it out into the like ocean to like
take pictures
take
or
a picture
something.
and then dropped it and lost it. And so we opened it and the plastic bag was still dry, and we were trying to get it to the owner, but obviously we didn't know the password and didn't want to lock it. So just one at a time, we all would like hold the Siri button, and each one of us one at a time would be like, Siri, call mom. And my voice was the one that sounded the most similar, and it went through.
Aww.
And then I had to leave a voicemail like it was like the 90s or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm also going to check to make sure my phone didn't immediately. Not calling my mom. Cool. Sweet.
Special guest.
Teresa Thomas.
Okay. Assorted fun facts about Finland.
Okay.
5.5 million people live in Finland, and Finland is about 130,000 square miles, but 75% of that is forest. So it has the population density about equivalent to Maine, but 4 times the size. And
Wow.
Maine is slightly more percentage forest. So do that math in your head if you want. The Finns drink more coffee per person than any other like group in the world. They drink 12.2 kilos per person per year, which I did the math, and they don't drink more coffee than me as a person. It's 10 grams per 6-ounce cup is considered the golden ratio for brewing coffee, but our like American mugs are usually like 10, 11 ounces. And so
Right.
that's just like 1.6 cups a day,
Oh.
which feels like normal for me, but
Yeah.
I also...
feels like a slow day for me, completely honest.
saying, whatever.
Let's go to Finland and order iced coffees.
Okay, I
This
did
like
that.
frozen country. Let's go off and be like, can we put some ice in this?
I did that in France, and I got a lot of dirty looks.
Yeah, could the Europeans have some good ideas? They need to start putting ice in their coffee.
Iced
It's
coffee
delicious.
is a move, and
Yes.
I can understand why Italians made fun of Americans and called it the Americano. Like
Right.
that makes sense to me. Not putting ice in your coffee it goes straight to the bloodstream. Like hit me up. I need that caffeine 5 seconds
Part of
ago.
me wonders if they've ever actually been cold, because if they knew how nice it was, then maybe they
That's
would
fair.
seek
Maybe
it
they would
out
have
more.
AC. Okay. They also have the highest milk consumption in the world, which
Go on.
I wasn't expecting that.
No, not at all.
Which is about 1 liter per day per person, but 17% of Finns are lactose intolerant.
Yeah, I bet so. With all the milk they're chugging up there. Oh my god.
Finland is one of the only countries where gambling is okay in public. So they'll have like little gambling things in supermarkets and gas stations, and they can be operated by the state. And here's what's fun is that the money acts kind of like tax money and can be used to support like science, arts, culture, sports, veterans, and youth initiatives.
It's kind of like the lottery here in the US,
Yeah.
but I really assumed the Finns were beyond that.
I don't know.
I love that they're like, we are this well-learned society, but we have a couple vices.
And we're gonna embrace that.
If I could get half a gallon of coffee and then a half a gallon of milk, I'd like to blow my paycheck on the slot machine you got in the corner of this Starbucks
Go
right
to Finland
now.
just to use a slot machine at a supermarket.
I'm here to drink milk, gamble, and be happy.
And have 2 cups of coffee
Exactly.
a day. Okay, there are 2 million saunas in Finland.
There's only like 5 million people.
Yeah.
What in the world?
90
Oh, because it's dry. Okay, that
It's
makes
dry
sense.
and cold.
Okay.
99% of Finns take a sauna at least once a week, and there's a Burger King in Finland with an in-store sauna.
Would you go to the in-store sauna
Before or
at Burger
after I
King?
ate a Burger King?
I think I'd be excited for food, so after.
But then you already have the meat sweats if you're like really chowing down.
Yeah, so great. What a great place to be if I'm sweating.
A lot of people are
Do
naked
you
in those
get meat?
saunas.
Beautiful.
No, I don't eat enough meat to really get meat sweats.
I was gonna say, especially at Burger King. I was
Yeah,
like,
that's
are
fair.
you packing away? I'll get a Beyond Burger and I'll go sit in that sauna.
They have like the pictures that I saw had like Burger King branded towels in the sauna.
So we're gonna steal 2 of those.
Yes.
Do you think it smells like fries on the inside though?
I would be more tempted to go into the sauna if it did smell like fries.
Would hot, humid, smells like fries, is that heaven?
That might be. It might be overwhelming or it might be heaven. Someone who lives in Finland, let us
Yeah,
know.
please let us, because actually it's like, man, I guess people are naked. I was gonna like, send us a picture, but like maybe not.
I mean, like, maybe at least give us a review. You know, like 4 stars, 5 stars. What are you saying? Okay, there is a specific word in Finland for hangover, and it is crapula.
They were right again.
There's also a word in Finnish that means staying in, drinking beer in your underwear with no intention of going out.
It's called game day, baby. Game day.
It's
We're getting so close to college football here soon. I hope you are ready for like truly the most masculine aspect of my life to come out. I make so much buffalo chicken dip in September.
Okay, I'll come over for the buffalo chicken dip.
Okay,
I don't think
okay.
I care about the football though. And that word for staying in, drinking beer in your underwear with no intention of going out is kalsarikanit. Okay.
I would call it pre-crapula, but that's fine.
True. Honestly, it's like a pre-game, but
Exactly.
pre-hangover. Fair enough. Finns have a traditional competition of ant nest sitting, where you take your pants down, sit on an ant's nest, and the first person who stands loses.
I don't know if it's more shocking than the amount of milk that they drink, but it's so odd.
Exactly.
Also, because it's like so cold regularly,
Yeah.
and all these ant mounds are outside. And then also, like, where are they finding that many ant mounds
next to each other?
Right, to have a like simultaneous competition?
What if maybe they're just timing it? What if it's just one? Those poor ants.
But like, I think that then
By the third person, the ants
they're
are like,
really mad. Right?
ants are
Exactly.
like, what the hell?
I don't remember us putting an addition on.
God.
Sorry, was that a little too much? We can cut
I
it.
feel like Miss Frizzle.
Cruising on no Main Street. Singing podcast.
Oh my God. Okay. The Finns also invented the Molotov cocktail. The inventor of the text message is also Finnish. Tax information is public in Finland, so the tax office will send an annual list of the high earners to the media who will publish articles about it, and this is commonly known as tax porn.
I love that.
It promotes transparency and decreases corruption, which they are right.
Yeah, I bet
highly
it does,
in.
because you're
Yeah.
like, that person over there has more influence than they should.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty progressive.
Right?
Okay.
And they operate on a, quote, flat hierarchy, so everyone is equal, meaning work culture is casual, there's no surnames or proper titles, and everyone calls everyone by their first name. Also cool. They are known for some weird sports, as we previously mentioned,
yeah.
the ant nest sitting competition. They're also home to the wife carrying world championship, which I did Google this right before you came over, and there is a North American branch.
Okay.
And you have to like get sponsored by the North American. They only host like a national championship.
Okay.
And they were very specific about the rules that were allowed there, but not in the world championship.
When do I get to cheer on you and Casey at the North American Regional Wife Carrying Championship?
Never.
Okay, I'm like just trying to get a ticket to Finland.
Okay, if you were trying to carry you don't have to like be married to compete in this to a wife. You just can carry any like woman or
Any wife will work.
there's like a weight limit or a weight minimum. The minimum is like 108 pounds, and then if there's like more people that weigh more than that, the people with the lighter person will have to wear like weight belts to like make it even.
Oh, okay.
So you can carry whoever you want. If you were going to carry or be carried, how would you want that person to ride on your back or you to ride on their back?
Is there obstacles that I have to also get
Yes,
over?
there are at least one wet obstacle and two dry obstacles.
One wet up. What is wrong with the Finns? They're like so normal, and then a weird kind of freaky thing gets slipped in there. See, I think if I did it like chicken style and I put someone on my shoulders, like that's too top heavy.
Yeah.
But when you hang on the back, piggyback style, that then kind of like it hurts your shoulders a lot because then your lower back has to hold. I'm a pretty big guy. I've given a lot of piggyback rides. I'm not usually the rider. Let me go ahead and put it that way.
That's fair.
Don't know when was the last time I was carried or held by anyone, but
Okay.
honestly, I mean, we'd have to like figure out how this works, but their knees on my shoulder upside down, so that way the majority of their weight is like on my shoulder, and my lower back doesn't have to do all the work.
Yeah, so here's
Did I get it right?
Yeah, this is
I'm a visionary.
that's the most common is to
What
have.
if I drowned you in the water?
That's
the wet
my biggest
obstacle?
concern. So this is the North American one. Apparently the North American one, you don't need to wear a helmet, but in the Finnish
America.
one, you do. I know, right? So most people opt for this version, which is called the
logo for this organization there's an axe. It's
Yep.
nuts.
The most popular, this one is called the Estonian carry, where, for those of you who can't see, I'll put a graphic on the YouTube, but you're upside down The woman is like kind of has their arms around the man's belt, or
Yeah.
the man's like waist
Yeah.
and gripped, and then the legs are on either side of the head.
The woman's face staring directly at the end of a man's tailbone.
Yes, exactly. So that's called the Estonian carry. That's the most common. The other two options in the North American Championships are the fireman hold, which is like over the shoulder, and then a piggyback.
Like Band of Brothers, like over the shoulder, like
Yeah, like their
I'll get you
logo.
out of here.
You see that? Like she's like she has her butt really nicely.
Oh, it's just over one
Yeah.
arm. Oh,
One
like
shoulder.
damsel in distress
Yes,
style
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
thing.
Yeah. So anyway,
Until this podcast, this specific episode, I like really respected the Finns, and now I'm like, you're like my weird cousins.
we're not even done with the weird sports category.
Oh, okay, cool, fun. Oh, okay.
The other one is rubber boot throwing championships, which, if you can guess, you throw a boot as far as you can. That's the sport.
Isn't that just shot put? Okay, continue.
Swamp soccer, football in the mud, soccer in the
Okay.
mud. Lake floorball, which I did not Google. I don't know what that is. Lake floorball, though. Their air guitar world championships are hosted in Finland.
Like,
Yep.
that's so...
Oh, I
I
missed.
get why this country's the happiest. They're the joyous. They're the silliest.
Oh, I missed a one of their fun facts. One of the other fun facts is Finland has the most amount of heavy metal bands per capita in the world. So that explains
I'd
the
also
air
be
guitar.
pretty angry if it was dark all the time.
Famous bands. I'm not huge in the heavy metal community, but famous bands include Nightwish, Child of Bodom, and HIM, like an acronym, HIM. There are 53.2 bands per every 100,000 inhabitants, which feels like a lot.
Say that number again?
53.2 bands per every 100,000 inhabitants.
That is a lot of bands.
That's a lot of bands.
I'm glad it's not ska, though. Kidding.
Well, anyway, so they have an air guitar world championships for those that wanted to be in a heavy metal band, but maybe just didn't make the cut.
One of my favorite things to say right now, like summer of 2023, my catchphrase outside of this podcast has been silly little. Like, I've loved to be like, I'm just gonna have like a silly little snack right now.
Silly little
Or
snack.
like, oh, do you see that person over there? Look at that like silly little guy. And that's Finland's entire energy.
Silly
Like,
little
what a
air
silly-
guitar.
What a silly little Finns. We're just gonna go ahead and imagine a day of watching wife carrying and then losing the ant sitting competition, but it's okay. You cooled it off with like a Whopper in a sauna at your local Burger King.
And then the
Is
last...
that maybe Utopia? Sorry, go ahead.
I think so. The last item in the weird sports category is the naked 10-kilometer run.
So like 2 5Ks.
I need to leave.
That math was right.
It was. You were right. Just disappointed.
You know, in Denver, there's like a naked bike ride thing that happens.
Oh, God.
Oh, are you not aware of this?
No.
Yeah, it's like it's through the city. Denver's still kind of weird. But yeah, it happens downtown. A bunch of, I think it's like maybe strongly encouraged, but it's not a requirement that
To
you're
be
naked. And then everyone gets on their bike and then they bike. But I mean, especially if like reproductive organs is what you're
Yeah.
thinking about, a bike position actually is one of the best positions to hide it because you have both your legs and
That's
you're kind of
true.
like hunched over. And who doesn't have a little bit of a belly, you know?
Yeah.
That it's just like, when it's like, it says not to get like too graphic, but have you ever gone skinny dipping before?
Yeah.
Yeah, who hasn't? I think it's freeing in that way.
That's fair. That's fair. It feels more exposed for some reason.
I mean, yeah, because there's like chains and pavement and you're
Yeah.
driving through America's
The stakes
like
are higher.
driving through America's like 17th largest city. But
Okay. So now we're getting into really the meat of what I wanted to talk about with
Oh,
Finland.
I thought that's what we were talking about. I thought you were like,
Here's
the
the
Finns.
thing.
They're kind of weird.
So after hearing everything that I've told you, we
Yeah.
agreed it's like maybe a utopia,
Yeah.
maybe hell for some people. I have one question for you.
Okay.
Do you believe in Finland?
What?
I said what I
Like
said.
as a place on
Yeah.
the map?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do believe in Finland. Yeah.
You believe it like exists.
Yeah, I think I could physically go there. I think the Soviets and Nazis did.
So some people would disagree with you.
Is it part of glorious Russia? Is that it?
Just doesn't
Getting
exist.
political again.
It doesn't exist.
As a teacher, I'm sometimes burdened with like the heavy knowledge that there's certain loud corners of this world that are so dumb. Is the Earth flat and it ends right before Finland? Is that
No.
it?
It's so much more complicated than that.
Does it like not legally exist? Like for a
No.
while they were not sure if West Virginia was legally supposed to be able to exist or not.
I mean, that's fair.
What do you mean people don't think Finland exists?
So here's the conspiracy.
What, did someone tell them that's where Santa is? Like, don't know why I said it that way. But,
So, if you've ever seen a map of the Nordic countries, here I have one in case you can't imagine it.
Okay, from my peripheral, it looked like a SpongeBob meme. So there's a lot of yellow in the middle. That's all I'm trying to say.
Finland is right here.
Yeah.
They believe that there's just nothing here. It's just more sea.
What?
So
Wait, what? This is actually maybe for the first time on this podcast, like it's like low level upsetting me. What do you mean they think nothing's there?
I'm just gonna let Grant think this one through.
Like it used to be part of the Kingdom of Sweden, and then it was occupied by the Soviets, and then declared its independence, not the Soviets, but the Russians, but like then declared its independence, fought like a couple of wars, is our most recent member of NATO, and like people don't think it exists? They're Vikings. What do you mean it doesn't? There's a whole character in Veep about Finland. Minna would not stand for this.
Okay, so are you ready to hear the conspiracy?
Like, I get people thinking like North Dakota doesn't exist because there's no one there. Shout out to the 4 people listening to us in North Dakota, by the way. What do you mean people don't believe? Go. Okay. What is go?
Okay.
As a person who came from Nebraska and you would go to like other places and I'd be like, I'm from Nebraska. And people would be like, where is that? And I'd be like, here. And they're like, isn't that Kansas? And I'd be like, no, it's not. It's not Kansas. I have a bunch of great Nebraska jokes. I need you to say your words now. I'm going to shut up.
Okay, during the Cold War, the theory is that Japan and the Soviet Union shared a secret stretch of the Baltic Sea between the Soviet Union and Sweden.
My breath is hot right now. Japan? I was not prepared for you to say that word next.
And they spread this rumor to keep the fishing spots to themselves and to avoid international fishing regulations.
They're on opposite sides of a global conflict. But they're like, I would hate for the World Trade Organization to butt in to our lucrative North Baltic fishing operations.
Yeah. And I
What?
And I did some background research. They cod, herring, and sprat are caught in the Baltic Sea, and Japan does import about 40% of their demand, but it mostly consists of tuna, prawn, shrimp, salmon, trout, cod, which is one of the catches, and crab. They import mostly from China, the US, Norway, Chile, Thailand, Russia, and Vietnam. So the conspiracy theory goes that they did this to keep the fishing to themselves, and Japan was free to fish without worrying about international fishing laws as long as they gave a fair share to Russia. And don't worry, they built the Trans-Siberian Railway just to get the fish to Japan.
See, that's the thing that actually upsets me about, like, I mean, it's actually a long list. But one of the things that upsets me about this conspiracy and that, like, and other conspiracy theories is that it does take a certain amount of knowledge to get you there. Like, you have to know what the Trans-Siberian Railroad is. You have to know what fish Japan imports. Like, you have to have the ability to okay, now you've really activated my teacher brain for a second, because you now need to also be able to, like, understand the concept of, like, international cooperation, and you need to understand imports. And that also means, like, some basic low-level understanding of, like, national economics and, like, supply and demand issues. You also... What? And then you put all of that together, and then you're like, and thus Finland's not real.
Yeah.
You know what it feels like? Do you know what it feels like? I'm reaching for analogies right now as I like get increasingly upset about this. One Christmas, and stay with me. Stay with me. One Christmas, my family we still get like a real tree for the living room, and it smells amazing and it's great, and it comes from a tree farm, not like Finland or whatever. And one Christmas we like just finished putting all of the ornaments on the tree. I had that one coming. I can't be mad about that. I can't be mad about that. We had just Finlandished the tree, and like literally we all sat down and then looked at the tree as like the lights were glowing and the child ornaments were on.
Yeah.
And as we stared at it, it fell straight on its face. Which was so funny if we weren't also afraid we had just lost every childhood ornament we had ever made. Turns out, actually, Fraser furs have a really nice shock, like bounce factor to them.
Nice.
But like that's what this feels like. You take all of these little ornaments and you put it all up there, and you like get the whole picture together for something as stupid as Finland doesn't exist. Like there's a flat earther. There's a flat earther who's like, the Earth is flat, and I will prove it by building a rocket and flying to space. You are smart enough to figure out.
Rocket?
Again, I think he did die in one of these expeditions.
Well,
Maybe leave the rocket building to Elon Musk. I'm kidding.
don't leave
Don't
it
do
to
that.
Elon Musk.
Fund NASA.
Yeah.
You're smart enough to figure out a way to get you, while still alive, into the sky, but refuse to believe that it's a globe. I'm gonna let you say more now as I like sit with this information that you've told me.
I am so happy right now.
The last story you told me, like 8 people get murdered in the first 5 minutes. And I'm like,
I told
that's
you this one wasn't gonna be
that's
dark.
really sad and tragic, but like an interesting discussion we're about to have about Miranda rights. And this one is just about Finland, a country whose population is smaller than Colorado, just not existing. And that is really upsetting.
Well, that's why some people think it doesn't exist. But anyway, so they believe the Trans-Siberian Railroad was built to get fish from the Baltic Sea area to where Japan is under the guise of transporting Nokia hardware to Japan. Because their theory is Japan is the biggest importer of Nokia products, despite the fact it doesn't seem like most Japanese people have them. A simple Google will show that Japan imports most of its Nokia from Vietnam, India, and Argentina, and the top importers of Nokia are India, Peru, and Vietnam. So conspiracy theorists don't know how to use Google. But anyway, they got the name Finland because it's the fin of a fish. And that's where the fish comes from.
That's what the conspiracy theory is.
That Finland doesn't exist, and so they're like, well, we should name it a country. Like, what should we name it? This will be really funny. We get fish there. And fish have fins. It's Finland.
Finland, certainly not Fin Ocean. Or Fin, don't look over here.
We're just going to get all the cod.
Should we, but maybe if that's what they were doing, then maybe we should call it No Finland, so that way they wouldn't come. It's like when the Vikings named Iceland, and Greenland, Greenland. But
pranked.
It's reversed.
Yeah, that's what they did.
I don't know if that's true or not, but if so, top level trolling
I'm
experience.
99% sure that that's
I
real.
am still like kind of.
Their other reason for believing that Finland is not real is because social democrats are using Finland as an idealized model for how liberal social democracy should be, because no
There it
country
is.
could be rated this highly in happiness and freedom of the press and education and be real.
There's this quote, and I think about this a lot when it comes to like this whole worldview, that things are bad, but I'm smarter than you because I've accepted that things are bad. And you, person who can dream of the world, well, that makes you a soft little snowflake. And how about I stop drinking Bud Light? What would that do to your tiny little world then?
Stop drinking Bud Light and start drinking Modelo, which
Exactly.
are produced by the same brewery.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to stop drinking Bud Light and instead give my money to Coors, sponsor of Denver's Pride Parade every year.
And was one of the first supporters.
It's literally called the Coors Light Denver Pride Parade. They got their name in before Pride. That's how much money they give.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's just, there's a saying, and the saying goes, bees don't waste time explaining to flies why honey tastes better than shit. And it's like, if you want to be miserable, stay in your little small town. No, I'm kidding. I am kidding about that. But it's like, good couldn't ever possibly happen. I've made peace with the terrible world that I live in. And thus, anything that could be better is a threat to my worldview.
Or doesn't exist. Like Finland. If you're wondering, well, there are 5.5 million people who live there.
Right.
So, like, obviously
I had a friend
Finland
that
exists.
spent a whole year studying in Helsinki.
Well, they do have an answer for that.
Okay.
Theorists believe that the Finnish people, they believe they live in Finland. Like, they're not in on the prank. But they're actually in small towns in eastern Sweden, northern Estonia, and western Russia in remote forested areas. And this is where people who are flown to Finland actually go. And Helsinki exists in eastern Sweden.
Which would then, of course, mean the ocean's the wrong way. Because Helsinki Ocean is west of the city, and it's not.
And if you're the population of Helsinki is about equivalent to Albany, New York. It's about 650,000 people.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And has a population density of a smaller mid-sized city in the U.S. The closest I could find was Oxnard, California, and I have never heard of that place. So
how do they? So if Finland exists for the Japanese and Soviet fishing rights in World War II, what do they think Finland was doing before then? Like, what was happening there before?
Nothing. It didn't exist.
So all of Finnish history is a lie.
It's a lie. They believe
every map ever drawn ever.
The good segue.
Oh, okay.
Theorists claim any satellite picture or map or anything of Finland are all altered, and all airline pilots are being bribed to keep silent. And the Unabomber could tell you why that immediately debunks this theory. That many people cannot keep a secret.
Exactly. Also, like pilots have to unionize for the right to sleep. But we have enough money to bribe them to pretend Finland exists? I read this article, or maybe I was listening to a kid give a speech on it, and it was about why conspiracy theories are so addicting.
Yeah.
And are we about to get to that too? Am I saying, okay. So it's why conspiracy theories are so addicting. And I didn't really want us to talk about conspiracy theories on here because I didn't want to platform anything, but this feels so silly and so superfluous. It's
I'll get into it.
We are not harming anything by being Finland exists,
Yeah, we are coming out saying Finland exists.
Exactly. And I kind of hope that we trigger the, what's even the name of this movement? Imaginary Finland? The imaginary...
Finland conspiracy.
I hope the Finland conspiracy people find us and interact with us, because that is great for driving views.
I hope they get mad.
It feels like the exact kind of size of people that we want to upset. But anyways, so the speech said, conspiracy theories are addictive and work in the part of the brain that other addictive substances like alcohol, drugs, cheese, and fats, which all kind of work in the same sectors of the brain in a similar way, that... one of the things that conspiracy theories do is they give you a dopamine hit because you feel smarter than other people and you feel kind of superior in that way. And by talking about it, it then also makes you feel altruistic because you're trying to let other people know. So it's like a double dopamine hit. And it also provides a framework and a structure for you to understand the world, much in the same way that religion or meditation or Brene Brown gives you structure that was maybe really personal to me, gives you structure to build your lives around. So it's like fun church essentially, but it's you don't believe in Finland.
And most good conspiracy theories start off, especially political ones, start off with well, this is a problem that is universally accepted as wrong, like child trafficking.
Right.
So it draws people in that have morally good intentions, and then they kind of go nuts.
And they'll latch on the initial statement that's true, which is that these big institutions of power have lied to people before. True. And it's yes, that is yes, correct. Welcome to the party. And they're and that is why Finland's not real. And it's whoa, wait, hold on, no.
Whoa,
thought we were talking about tax evasion or hiding crimes that happened within your institution. What do you mean Finland's not real?
Their other one of their other claims, this is the last claim I get into before I talk about the origin of the conspiracy theory, is that there are no universally recognized Finnish celebrities.
Minna from Veep.
Okay, that's a character.
Who is internationally recognized as being from Finland.
Fair enough. Okay.
A lot of the Finns are just so low-key, so content with their saunas and ants and wife transportation systems that they're we don't need to make a scene, which I thought I was the same way until we had a video go viral. Turns out I'm not.
It's and it will be all about me from here on out. We put his quote on a shirt that we are both wearing right now.
We haven't even talked about that yet.
Well, this will come out after I think the thing is over. But if you have a shirt, send us a picture.
We just got ours yesterday. So, yeah, how does this conspiracy theory start?
So the origin of the conspiracy theory, what year do you think it started?
Okay, so here's how I'm piecing it together. Okay. Here's my Blues Clues kind of situation. You need the internet, so that's already putting you in the early 90s. And then you need something kind of like the Joe Rogan experience. So that means Joe Rogan has to be off the X Factor in order to kind of help create this environment.
Wow.
So I'm going to go with like 2007.
That was not bad.
Thank you.
It was 2015.
Oh.
Which is somehow worse.
So we're on the ground floor of this conspiracy theory. I think it's incredible, too, that this is going to be episode 13, by the way.
So funny.
Okay.
So it started on Reddit, as things start, by a user named Raregans. He posted this on a thread. It was asking Reddit about weird stories told by parents to their kids. Like, what did your parents try and teach you that was absolutely insane?
So what, this is getting posted at the creepypasta subreddit or whatever?
Probably Ask Reddit.
Yeah,
I don't know. So he was told, he posted this whole thing as a response on Reddit, and he told everyone that he was told this in complete seriousness by his parents. His real life name is Jack, and at the time of posting, he was around 22 years old, and he says that his parents told him this when he was around 8 or 9. When asked about it later, he said he does believe in Finland, and he later told his parents that this was now going viral on Reddit, and they bust out laughing because they also believe in Finland.
So they convinced a child that Finland's not real.
Yep.
And then he was like, isn't this a really funny story that I was told as a kid? Like next to Santa Claus and the Tooth Fairy.
That he grew out of and was posting this now believing in Finland. And now he started a revolution. And he said he has received...
The commitment to the bit is so good.
He's received many angry messages from the Finnish people. One even offered to fly him out there to exist. And he said he didn't take him up on the offer because, like I said,
that feels unethical.
He believes in Finland.
This is going to be my new thing to say. Okay, hold on. So one of the work trips that I'm doing it's working with a small group of high school students at the high school that's hosting it, which is cool to get a chance to work on like some like new teaching methods and material, things like that. And you always have to have an icebreaker. Yeah. And I think this weekend or this week, I'm going to be like, okay, my opening icebreaker activity is, do you guys believe in Finland?
Well, do you?
And if so, do you want to build a snowman?
Does it have to be a snowman?
So how does it go from something man posts about in like alongside like Santa Claus or something like that to international conspiracy theorist?
Okay. I'm going to open this.
Am I the asshole for convincing a small group of the world that Finland doesn't exist?
So, Jack now thinks it's a fun social experiment, and he really just wants to see how far it goes.
Yeah, I get it. Again, commitment to the bit.
Commitment to the bit, yeah.
Shout out Jack.
So after the initial post on Ask Reddit or whatever, a subreddit called r/Finland conspiracy cropped up, and the tagline is, "The truth is thinly veiled."
God. This is actually really great.
I know.
And when we pull back that thin veil, what happens?
Most people there are for the bit, for the memes. But there are believers. Jack said it's about a 90-10 split.
Of like 90% believe?
90% just there for the bit.
And 10% believe.
And he said, quote, "It's hard to tell the difference between who is joking and who is serious."
Sure.
Yeah.
Because it's not like, do you understand astrophysics where you need like a certain level of knowledge to even talk about it?
Yeah.
You're like, what if I watered down my vocabulary? Then I could engage on their level with the thin truthers.
Okay, so since a lot of people are joking about it, the people who actually believe it got a little annoyed, and they created a new branch called r/True Finland Conspiracy.
At real Donald Trump or whatever.
So the first post on this subreddit says, the evidence that Finland is not real is, quote, actually quite convincing. And, quote, this is a non-circle jerk joke sub for true believers.
What a way to phrase that.
As for Finland being the happiest country, they're quoted saying, no real country could consistently place first in education, healthcare, gender equality, literacy rates, national stability, least corrupt government, and freedom of the press. It's a concept for countries and people to aspire to.
I mean, other than Barbie Land. We just saw the movie.
We just saw that movie and it was great.
Hold on, so then question, like, what came first? Obviously, like, Finland not being real came first. And now the fact that Finland's also a highly successful country is now being used as evidence that Finland's not real?
Yeah. Basically.
Amazing.
I want to be so successful that people don't believe I exist.
Exactly. I was going to share a story. Realized I probably shouldn't. So I'm going to, maybe that's for Am I the Asshole on the couch after hours kind
Join
of stuff.
our Patreon to hear the things Grant doesn't want published. So I opened r/True Finland Conspiracy. If you're wondering, there are about 108 members. I think it's like private kind of, so you can see some of it, but not all of it.
We are both on the ground floor. So we have about as many Patreon members as people who believe Finland doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so...
I wish we had that many Patreons.
I know. Join our Patreon, and once we hit 108, we will officially beat out the number of people who believe Finland does not exist.
There's at least 9 reasons as to why it doesn't exist. Is this their manifesto?
No, this is just... They're like trying to answer common questions.
Wait, why does the first line say the Industrial Revolution and its consequences? It's an episode 7-bit, for those of you wondering where that came from.
Yeah, so they believe that it's just empty ocean. So I'd ask you to approach the evidence I put forward with an open mind. Japan-Soviet relations.
Me rolling on a new seating chart. Okay, you're gonna think it's controversial at first. You're not gonna like it. You're gonna actually disagree with a lot of what I'm about to say. But if you just listen, come with an open mind, you might find it's okay.
Oh my god. Okay. Look through it. Okay. Why were relations between Japan and Russia always good throughout the Cold War, despite the major geopolitical differences between the countries and close geographical positions that you think would cause tensions? The answer is simple. They shared a common secret. The common asset that worked in both of their favors, and that asset was Finland, or the lack thereof.
That's insane. I mean, from do I need to say the history teacher perspective, or it's like the shared border between the Soviet Union and what at the time was Japanese Manchuria, which is north of Korea, are two insanely depopulated areas, and you are thousands of miles or kilometers, whatever the Soviet Union was using at the time, comrades away from any city in Russia, and Japan is trying to actively invade China, the world's most it's so upsetting because you can tell that they really like their history class, but they're
just
bad
so far from the truth. 99% of Finland is forest, which is not true, at least anymore.
Climate change, proving that Finland is real. What's so funny is they're going to finally convince everyone that Finland's real, and rising oceans will then actually make it part of the ocean.
No! What about the Finnish language? Look up the similarities between Japanese and Finnish. It may surprise you how similar they are, which is weird considering the vast distances between them. As a Japanese American, I would like to point out that they are in fact not even close to the same.
Also, they're actually I'm glad they're not the same, but from a geographic perspective, they're also not that far apart from each other because the world touches at the top, you know? They're not neighbors by any means, but it's not like Japan was talking to the Central African Republic or something like that.
Yeah. This is an enormous conspiracy to keep secret. How could nobody else realized it.
I love how that's number 9 on their list of things they need to address.
Number 10 is GPS and satellite images.
Okay, so how do they think they're keeping the secret?
Other people have realized it, but imagine the ridiculousness of the statement, quote, I don't believe Finland exists.
We are imagining the ridiculousness of that
We are
statement.
living that reality right now. Even if we did have undeniable proof of something put in front of us, we would still hold the opinion that most of our friends, family, and acquaintances hold to not disrupt social convention. It's part of the human condition.
So they're like, you can show us whatever evidence you want. Our open minds are closed. Finland's not real.
Someone who has since deleted their Reddit account commented, I think you're wrongly accusing your fellow Finland deniers. We all share a common bond and goal that Finland does not exist, all in caps. You've never seen it with your own 2 eyes. I've never seen it with mine. Finland does not exist, just a bunch of fishermen east of Sweden. We must make it known and speak up for all of the world to hear. Somebody put President Trump on the tele. Need to speak to him. I think that might have been a spammer.
One of the, quote, circle jerks
One of the
Finnish
quote,
denier
circle
peoples.
Yeah.
Can I say, I love, because this podcast...
Why did you erase Finland with MS Paint? Top comment.
I also love that they think fishing is that lucrative that you could make that much money keeping it a secret.
Yeah.
But no, here's what I really wanted to say. This podcast, when you and I sat down to do it, we agreed the like guiding light of this was just like random internet rabbit hole searches that we found.
Yeah.
And then over the last 3 episodes, we've talked about like Miranda rights and the invention of the pill and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We've gotten like kind of scientific the last couple ones, which is dangerous because I'm no Bill Nye. And that's not just because I'm not 6'6" with an incredible head of hair.
He is kind of mean though.
I love, you're like, this is the craziest thing I could find on the internet recently.
And this is, this story came from a follower.
Wait, it came from a listener? Wait, who, do you have their name written down?
Them. So she actually helped me. She reached out to me after the NDA thing went viral and was like, she lives in Finland, or she thinks.
I love that. She lives in northern Estonia.
Yeah, actually. So she lives in Finland, and she was like, she's from like a producing company, and she said that her friend Amy, who she wanted me to shout out on her, who's a coworker who showed her our podcast, and now she listens. Her name is Paula Rinta Canto. I hope I said that right. Canto. And so she...
Well, it's a lot like Japanese, so how would you say it in Japanese?
So she actually proposed the idea that talking about the fact that Finland doesn't exist because it's a conspiracy theory. And then I also asked her for some fun facts, and she sent me the sources to all of those stories of
Really?
Aimo and all of the fun facts that I read.
I would like to deliver an official apology to the Finnish people. I made a lot of jokes at the start of this podcast, which Maia let me do. So, not saying it's a joint apology, but maybe co-authored. And I want you to know that I think it's great that you guys have quirks. I could not find that many mean things to say. I would love to sit down with someone and just kind of talk out ant sitting again, just a little bit more. I can like basically buy into like everything else
except for
that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is my official apology to the 5.5 million Finns. You exist.
Yeah.
And everyone, please continue to send us stuff on Instagram. Finnish people, please send it through Finsta. That was so drawn out for such a bad joke.
That was not worth it.
For those of you who don't work with young people, a Finsta
I know what a Finsta is.
Okay. A Finsta is a fake Instagram account.
Yeah.
So that way you can like troll and like and creep without it being attached to your name.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought it was a funny play on words.
I had a Finsta. I still have one. It's
I would like
out
to
there.
add one more thing to my apology to the Finnish people, and
Before
that
you
is
do
the Finsta joke that I just made.
On this apology tour.
Exactly.
And she also mentioned that I can shout out her Instagram if anyone wants to check it out. It's at Pauki, Paukki.
How many Ks was that?
That was 3 Ks.
Okay.
And she is an absolute gem. She seems very nice and was very nice and very helpful.
I love that.
And we love you, Paula.
And thank you for listening. Hopefully you're still listening. How funny would it be if they like got to episode 9?
They were like, never mind.
Same joke over and over again.
But yeah, we have merch out now. So go to, I bought us a domain. Did I tell you that?
She bought us a domain.
wellilaugh.com will now.
Wait, it was just available like that?
Yeah.
Wow, big get for us.
I know, that's why
We're
got
at
it.
almost 80,000 on TikTok.
I know, it's crazy.
I know.
So wellilaugh.com will take you to our podcast website, and there's a tab for podcast merch that'll take you to our merch site. I don't know if the campaign for this shirt will still be live. It'll be live
Right.
until August 20th.
Cool.
So maybe
Maybe.
not. And then follow us on their socials and DM us if you have a specific idea, and DM me only if you have a story that you want me to cover.
We are trying to figure out how to create an idea doc while at the same time not then knowing when one of us is doing something from the idea doc, because we are trying to surprise each other a little bit, but it's been...
That was Mo.
It's been fun. I think you have a visitor.
I don't think I do. I think she's just hallucinating. See, that's...
Now we got her.
And look at her hackles are all the way up.
She doesn't like Bowser's cone either.
No, Bowser also will get her by sitting at the top of the stairs and growling at stuff, and she won't be able to see out the door, but she'll be like, I got your back!
What a fun big brother, small brother situation.
Anyway.
This has been the longest goodbye. I don't know how
Yeah.
much of that we're keeping, but...
We follow us on social at wellilaughed, email us at wellilaughdpod@gmail.com.
And keep sending in stuff in.
Yeah.
And sorry to everyone who went to Star City Shores as a kid and was traumatized by one of our most latest episodes for bringing it back up. But who doesn't love a public pool? That's my last apology.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.